아래 나도 동아세야다 디유주에게 돈달이야 먼저 삼로 돈에 아니 장다 삼로 장고에디 두개야 되시간에 장고랬네 먼저 쇼게.
Good afternoon. So this morning we started to look at this remarkable but brief text, and we saw that in order to fulfill our heartfelt wish of to live free of problems and difficulties, and always abiding in happiness, the essential technique is to train the mind. And we started to look at how to train the mind. And it comes down to the wholesome ways of thinking. These need to be identified and cultivated, and because thereby the unwholesome, the harmful ways of thinking, such as those of anger and attachment, they will be slowly eradicated. So how to develop the helpful, the wholesome ways of thinking is to start with developing a deep appreciation for others, coming to value all others, not just some, but all beings equally. And thereby, or thereupon that basis, develop the wish, may these beings attain their heartfelt wish of being happy. May all of us, myself and all others, abide in lasting happiness. So this is the mind of love. And it's accompanied with the mind of compassion, which is, may all beings, myself and others, be entirely and forever free of problems and difficulties. And develop this further into develop the minds of love and compassion further into where one takes responsibility to make this happen, and develop bodhicitta and the determination to become a Buddha. And because it's through valuing others and recognizing our deep independent relationship with them that we eventually come to develop the mind of bodhicitta and the determination to become a Buddha, and eventually will become a Buddha. It is for this reason that sentient beings are said to be of greater value than a wish-fulfilling gem. This then is in brief what we looked at this morning. And when concluded this morning, I mentioned how all of us, we have the seeds of love and compassion within, which means by strengthening our habituation to these seeds, by repeatedly over a sustained period, hearing teachings, reflecting on them, meditating on them, we'll become ever more habituated to love and compassion, and we'll be able to eventually generate bodhicitta itself. Furthermore, amongst the wide variety of beings, whether human or animal, or amongst any of the other types of unseen beings, we have attained a precious human rebirth. This is the very, very best, the supreme foundation upon which we can train spiritually. Because the other types of rebirth or realms of rebirth are either marked by an abundance of happiness, where one is distracted from the realities of samsara, or the suffering is too overwhelming, and thereby one is unable to cultivate good qualities. But we have the ideal foundation, the very best of rebirths, to cultivate qualities such as bodhicitta. And this was mentioned by Shantideva, the beginning of near the beginning of his text, that engaging in the bodhisattva's way of life. These freedoms and endowments, so this precious human rebirth, these freedoms and endowments are difficult to attain, can fulfill the purpose of beings. If I do not accomplish this life's potential, when could such an excellent opportunity be achieved again? So just working through this verse, the fourth verse in Shantideva's engage in a bodhisattva's way of life. These freedoms and endowments are difficult to attain. So freedoms and endowments refer to the 18 qualities that comprise a precious human rebirth. And why is it said that this is so difficult to attain? Well, this can be seen in two ways, one of which is just how rare it is to have a precious human rebirth. So that may sound a little strange when you think, but we're like 8 billion people. So how can a precious human rebirth be considered rare or difficult to obtain? Well, when you compare the number of human beings to the number of, just say, ants, it's vastly different. And then if we add to ants the number of fish, again, from both the microscopic to the larger fish, adding these two species together, It's an incalculably larger number than the entirety of the human race. And then amongst those human beings, there are very few who have this interest in cultivating a meaningful life of the Dharma. So for this reason then, the freedom's endowments, or this precious human rebirth, is seen as so difficult to attain. Furthermore, the second line can fulfill the purpose of beings. So this is why this life is considered precious. It can fulfill the purpose of beings. And the purpose of beings is the wish to live free of problems and difficulties in a happiness that never fluctuates, not good and bad days, but always abiding in happiness. This state, which can be called liberation or can be called enlightenment, can be achieved on the basis of this precious human rebirth. The third line, if I do not accomplish this life's potential. So this life's potential refers to cultivating the minds such as love and compassion and even bodhicitta. These are entirely within our capacity and thereby progress towards the attainment of Buddhahood, of full and complete enlightenment. The final line, when could such an excellent opportunity be achieved again? So if one does not accomplish this life's potential and embrace whatever it is that remains of this life, this opportunity that it presents is finite. It will end. So this opportunity is drawing to a close. And whether I will achieve such remarkable good conditions again is far from certain. So therefore, I must embrace this excellent opportunity that I have right now, utilize it in the most meaningful of ways. So this verse again from Shantideva. These freedoms and endowments so difficult to attain can fulfill the purpose of beings. If I do not accomplish this life's potential, when could such an excellent opportunity be achieved again? Hearing that then, we recognize that right now we are all at fulfilling the potential of this precious human rebirth, in that we have gathered together here to hear about how to cultivate minds such as love and compassion, and engaging in meditation so as to cultivate love and compassion. This is truly excellent. We are all acting in accordance with the advice of this great master, Shantideva, and all the other Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So this is something to recognize and generate great joy about, to recognize that this opportunity of this time together has come our way, and we have embraced it. We have taken this opportunity. And this is not something just to think as commonplace, but to recognize how uncommon, how rare such opportunities are, and how many people there are that would love to have such an opportunity as this, but who haven't created the causes or haven't embraced the opportunity when it comes their way. Whereas you have all decided to put aside what you could have been doing over these days. Some of you would have taken leave from work. All of you would have taken a leave of absence from your daily responsibilities. And you've done so in a way that will lead to the cultivation of extensive virtue, of cultivating your ever-strengthening habituation to wholesome minds, wholesome ways of thinking. So the purpose of what I'm mentioning here, and the purpose of the reflection I'm guiding you in, is for you to generate a sense of confidence, a strength of mind, that you are utilizing your time well, and thereby encourage yourself to utilize these days together well. Then returning to Langri Tangpa's text, the second verse. Wherever, whenever, and whomever I interact with, I will view myself humbly in relation to them all, and from the depths of my heart, I will value others more highly. So this verse, once again, as with all the teachings of the Buddha, one's attention is drawn inwards to look at the mind. And here, it's to look at and then counteract the afflicted mind of pride. Pride is a harmful affliction that arises so very easily. This inflated sense of one's qualities or self-worth, which itself then tends to lead to the arisal of other afflictions, such as jealousy, competitiveness, attachment, anger. So pride is an affliction that actually limits our potential to grow spiritually and be of benefit. So pride is a mind where we have this inflated view of ourselves, and where we see ourselves, perhaps not in all aspects, but in certain areas, that are better than this person, or it can be expressed that this person is lower beneath me. So this is this affliction of pride that keeps us separate from others, puts ourselves on an inflated pedestal, looking down at others, seeing them as beneath us. So the first line, it sets the scene for where we need to be on guard against the potential arisal of pride. Because again, pride can arise so easily with very little apparent cause. So we have wherever, whenever, and whomever I interact with. So in other words, at all times, we need to be on guard against the arisal of pride. Because it can arise when we with friends or with loved ones. It can arise when we're with people that we don't know or people that we despise. So it can arise with anyone. And it can be in any place. It could be in our home, out and about in society, our place of work, out having fun, wherever it may be. Pride too can so easily arise. So you can think of examples when a teacher and student are together. The teacher may well see themselves as superior to their student. Or in some areas, the student may believe their knowledge exceeds that of the teacher, and then the student a pride arises in the mind of the student in relation to the teacher. A pride can arise in terms of when you look around you and you think, I'm probably better off financially than these people, or think that, yes, I'm more educated than them, or I'm able to really think for myself. And these kinds of ways where too, one inflates oneself. Or one can think that you are more talented than others. So again, seeing one's quality, but that leads to pushing down on others. This quality that one may or may not have, but leads to seeing oneself as superior and others as inferior. Another very common ways would be in terms of one's appearance, either that seeing oneself as better looking or better dressed, or as more important, having more prestige than others. So there are so many ways that we can have this affliction of pride can arise. Again, in relation to qualities we may or may not have, but it leads us to looking down on others, as seeing them as inferior and ourselves as superior. And where pride is of particular danger for a spiritual practitioner is when they have been receiving teachings for a period of time and they've developed some degree of education, so they are quite learned. And then they look at their Lama, their teacher, and think to themselves, you know what, I think I understand the teachings as well as they do. There isn't really very much more I can learn from them. I suppose perhaps in some areas they know things that I don't, but in this particular topic that is being presented, really, I've got nothing new to learn from them. I've heard this many times. I know this topic well. I'm sitting there and everything I'm hearing, yes, I've heard before. This person can teach me nothing further. So from how presented it should be very clear that this is an obstacle to spiritual development, but it is one that can arise all too easily. And there are several analogies for pride in texts. So one is likening someone who's proud to a smooth, round stone. So a stone that is smooth and round, it's never stable. It rolls here and rolls there, so it has no stability. Also, water cannot rest on it because it's smooth and it's round. So water can't rest on it. It's moving here, moving there. Unstable. And this then is likened to someone who is proud in that they are not receptive to new knowledge. They may hear teachings and criticize how things are said and so forth, rather than being open and receptive and hearing the teaching as advice for themselves. And therefore, not hearing teachings like this, they're not going to be gathering new knowledge, and therefore their qualities will not be able to grow. Because for qualities to grow, they grow about independence on knowledge as well as effort to grow those qualities. So therefore, this person will find themselves either not attending teachings because they know this well enough, or they'll attend teachings and their mind will be negative and critical, and therefore they will not actually hear the teachings clearly, or they may actually give rise to some questions, and because of actual lack of knowledge, but there will be too much pride for them to ask their questions. So in these ways, we see how pride is a serious impediment to one's spiritual development. So to tell a story, to give an illustration. So let's say one's in India and wanting to buy a train ticket. So someone comes there and thinks, yeah, I have a good understanding of the rules of society, and we need to stand respectfully in a queue. So they will stand behind what appears to be the last person, waiting patiently in a queue. But other people have no idea, so they are likened then to those with no education. So they come there with an open, receptive mind to look at, so what is going on here? How am I best to get involved? So the person who thinks they know best, they are standing in the queue. Those who come knowing nothing but are open and therefore open and receptive, they will look around and see actually there really is no queue. It's really just a free-for-all. And then they will try and push their way to the front, and eventually they will get a ticket, buy a ticket. Whereas the other person is standing there very confident in and secure in their knowledge, but they won't move forward in the room at all. They'll just stay behind this mass of people. In fact, the stronger one's pride, the stronger one's self-cherishing is, grasping at oneself as dear. And with strong self-cherishing, the other afflictions arise so easily. Attachment, anger, conflict with others. So therefore, this first line, wherever, whenever, and whomever I interact with, we need to make sure that in all these circumstances, we are interacting with others, valuing them, appreciating them, respecting them, not seeing ourselves as superior to them and looking down on them. This is really important, because in circumstances, in society, where those who have pride express that pride, it is often expressed in terms of power and dominance, whether this is in the home or in the place of work or in positions of leadership. Wherever one has some authority over others, if one has pride, that pride is usually expressed in a harmful manner towards others, because one does not value them. One does not see them as being of equal value to you. Therefore, it becomes very easy to justify dismissing them, being rude to them, and so forth. So therefore, wherever, whenever, and whomever I interact with, we need to be on guard against pride and rather value others. The first line then tells us what to guard against. The second line then is what type of way of thinking we should have. And that is, I will view myself humbly in relation to them all. So all these people referred to above, that we may meet in any circumstances, relate to them with humility. This term translated here as humbly, this needs to be understood well, because the Tibetan, and if you have other translations, it may well be expressed something like, seeing myself as the lowest of all, which is more literal. So it does not mean looking down on yourself, seeing yourself as inferior. This is not the meaning at all. Let's take the illustration of how how a student should relate to their spiritual teacher. They should, in their mind, be very clear that the very reason for them relying on their spiritual teacher is because the teacher has a wide array of qualities far in excess to what the student has. And so therefore the students should train their minds to focus on the good qualities of their teacher and to appreciate the tremendous benefit that they receive from the teacher, the great impact that the teacher can potentially have in their life. And this leads this understanding that the teacher has immeasurably greater qualities that far exceed that of the students, and that those qualities being expressed to a receptive student means that they have a meaningful impact on their life. This leads to a deep sense of appreciation from the student to their teacher, and a relationship based in respect, but sincere respect. And this will be expressed as, again, sincere humility. So these two lines we encourage to relate to all beings from a perspective of genuine humility. And those that it would be easiest to lord over them are those whom we are clearly in many ways superior to, or have superior qualities, in particular that of strength and power. So if we take animals, let's say a bird, so just some bird, it's very easy to be dismissive of it, to see oneself as much more powerful than a bird. If we can catch it, we can imprison it, we can kill it. There's no consequence for this from society. So we can very easily be dismissive, lording ourselves over a bird. But whereas if we actually train in the way that's presented here, we will relate to this being as a being who has qualities that we don't have. For example, it can fly. We have no idea how to fly. We have no experience of flight. But this is something that to the bird is very obvious and easy to do. So even animals have qualities that we lack. So this appreciation towards all, recognizing that whomever someone is, we have things that we can learn from them. They know things that we do not. So to develop a genuine sense of humility towards others, this requires being aware of their good qualities. And for some people, their good qualities are abundant because we know them well enough. In others, in other people, we either do not know them, or the context that we know them in is quite limited, and therefore how we know them can be perhaps quite unpleasant. So perhaps someone that one occasionally interacts with, and when you have interacted with them, they're aggressive. So, but even such a person that you only know as aggressive, the truth is, they are not aggressive in all circumstances, even if you only have that experience with them. Maybe at home, they have a family, and they care for their family, and they're kind to their family, and they take good care of their family. This is entirely possible. Just because we haven't witnessed it, just because we haven't witnessed it, doesn't mean that is not also a large part of their life. And certainly what we can do in relation to all is recognize that whomever they are, however they are appearing to us, they have within them the seeds of love and compassion. They have the capacity, just like we do, to cultivate love and compassion and become remarkable beings. So one can relate to anyone else, whomever they are, however they are appearing to you, through recognizing their inner good qualities and relating to those inner good qualities, even if they are not on display. And one can relate to them with a wish, may their inner qualities of love and compassion grow and flourish. And in this way, one has a warm approach to whomever one is encountering. Here I think it's important to talk about pride and confidence, because these two can be confused, or can be called pride and afflicted pride and non-afflicted pride. So non-afflicted pride or confidence. So when one recognizes that one has a particular good quality, recognizing that you have that good quality is not a fault, because you have that good quality. But if you exaggerate how well developed that quality is, that's possibly going in the direction of pride. But recognizing that you have a good quality, that in itself is not a fault at all, because it is there. Pride, though, has this unique characteristic of taking a quality that one may or even may not have and seeing yourself as superior because of it. Pride may be expressed towards oneself in general, just feeling that you are a remarkable person, better than everyone, or it may be in particular areas. But you may think in this area or that area, I'm the best. And that leads you to look down on others either in general or in regard to specific qualities. So how pride is different, afflicted pride and non-afflicted pride, or pride and confidence are distinguished, is that pride necessarily involves looking down on others, seeing them as beneath you, seeing yourself as superior. Whereas recognizing that you have a quality to a greater degree than someone else does, that's not necessarily pride at all. And in particular, where one requires this non-afflicted pride is so that where one has good qualities, one has the confidence to express those good qualities. You make use of those good qualities to be of benefit to others. Whereas if one has gone too far to the other extreme and has a negative self-view, then one's good qualities are going to remain unutilized, where you could have been of service, could have been of benefit. One keeps oneself too small, too much in the background. So this is a good area to reflect on and come to recognize the difference between merely recognizing to yourself the good qualities you have and being confident in that, and this afflicted pride, where one sees others as inferior because they lack that quality that you believe you have. So to summarize these first two lines, wherever, whenever, and whomever I interact with, I will view myself humbly in relation to them all. So whatever circumstance, whomever someone is in relation to you, and whatever the context is that you find yourself, be aware of their good qualities and value them. And in this way, guard yourself against pride. The final two lines, and from the depths of my heart I will value others more highly. This then builds on what we've looked at both this afternoon as well as this morning. When with others, whether directly with others or even thinking of them, and in whatever circumstance we may find ourselves with others, be aware of that they have the seeds of love and compassion. They have the very potential to become bodhisattvas. And so that's one point. A second point is whomever these people are, whether faceless people in the street or people we have conflict with or our own loved ones, recognize that there are people in their lives that they care for deeply and that they are a key component of happiness in the lives of others. So recognize whomever we are encountering, they bring happiness and joy to others. And recognize, seeing them in this light, this favorable light, this then should lead you to take joy in them, recognizing their good qualities, recognizing that there is good in their life and they bring good into the lives of others. This will immediately open you to others. You'll relate to them as being dear, wanting them to be happy. So here this comes down to developing a general attitude through recognizing the kindness of others and the benefit they bring into your life, which leads you to valuing them. And also seeing that, like us, at a fundamental level, there is no difference. We all want to be happy and free of problems and difficulties. And that they have the seeds of love and compassion, just like we do. In this way, we will relate to others with humility, and from the depths of our heart, we'll value them highly. So in this way, we will not engage with others with pride, looking down on them or thinking unkind thoughts towards them. Doesn't come across in the translation, but every verse here ends with a particular particle which expresses heartfelt wish, which implies that one is making, and this is now what Genla said, one makes a supplication to the Buddha, to one's Lama, to one's Yidam, for their inspiration, that one may train in the way that's guided here. So when you read, just to say now as an aside, when you read prayers in Tibetan, and there's this word shok, it's always the last word in a verse when it's present. This is showing this expression that of may this happen, may this come about. So in all these verses, in all 8 of these verses, they end with that same word. So therefore, we can end now specifically to the second, but all of them with us making the supplication to one's Lama, one's Yidam, and the Buddha, that may one's training in love and compassion go well, go in the way of that is described in the particular verse. So with the second verse, when one ends with the supplication, one's supplicating one's the Lama, Yidam, and Buddha for one's love and compassion to grow and flourish within oneself, as well as to, in this case, abandon pride. Now we can see a similarity in these 2 verses that we've covered thus far, that in terms of how we should relate to others. In the first verse, we see we must hold them as precious. In the second verse, hold them as more highly than ourselves. So this points to the foundational training in developing love, compassion, and eventually bodhicitta, which is to sincerely value others, to recognize their value, to recognize their importance, and to move beyond this inflated sense of self where we may see ourselves as the savior of others, but rather to find ourselves in harmony, maybe you could say in communion with others, so in harmony with others, working together with others to achieve a state of lasting happiness. And this valuing of others comes about through recognizing our interconnected relationship. So we've spoken thus far about how recognizing how we benefit from others, their great kindness that they directly will show us, as well as their various activities that indirectly lead to our own benefit. And therefore, recognizing we have an interdependent relationship. And moreover, now that we recognize that it's in dependence on coming to value others, to hold them as dear, I'll be able to develop love and then compassion and then bodhicitta and eventually Buddhahood. I realize my own happiness is dependent on others. So of course they are incredibly kind to me, because in dependence on them, I will eventually become a Buddha. So when one has taken that to heart, how can pride arise? How can one see oneself as superior? I'm the great Dharma practitioner, they're just suffering beings. When one's recognizing that in dependence on their kindness, I'm spiritually developing. Dependence on their kindness, I'm developing good qualities. So again, when one takes this teaching to heart, one will not look down on others, one will not criticize others, one will not complain about others, one will not argue with them, one will value them. When engaging in reflection on the topics of the Dharma, one starts at a course level because it's easy to recognize the validity of the presentation, of the teaching, and then in one's meditation one takes it to a deeper level. So for example, to recognize the powerful impact of a genuine loving and compassionate attitude towards others, just on a normal worldly level, we can think of say an animal. That if an animal is distressed, perhaps aggressive, and let's say it's an animal, maybe a dog, that you regularly have to encounter, regularly have to walk past. When you walk past this dog that you have to pass regularly every day, you show its kindness. You don't respond with aggression. Maybe you throw it a treat. After passing the dog several times and responding consistently with kindness and giving it a treat, that dog will start to change its attitude to you. In fact, it will do so quite quickly. And in no time, you will have befriended that dog. And where this comes from is showing a consistent, kind attitude and going out of your way to express that kindness. So this is certainly the case. We know this with pets, with animals. It's also the case with children and with people as well. When we encounter someone who's unhappy, maybe even angry, if in whatever way is appropriate for that circumstance, we hold them close, we only respond with care and kindness, the very least, that will ease their suffering. So this we know from our own lived experience. It's very clear with animals, but it's also, we can see this, and you'll have experience of this in your life with people, that by being consistent with kindness, and genuinely with kindness towards others, we can ease their suffering, even when it's intense. And furthermore, we also know from society, responding to anger with anger, it doesn't lead to good outcomes. If one person has lost their mind in anger, and the other person also loses their mind in anger, it never turns out well. In fact, all too often it can just end in violence. And the Buddha was very clear on anger, saying, it is never justified. And responding to anger with anger is never wise. Anger is never to be justified. That is just a delusion. When one responds to anger with anger, the result is only ever more suffering. An argument, one person responding verbally with anger and the other person responding in kind, this may well just grow. And then that could lead to physical violence. It may even lead to the parties picking up weapons, leading to harm and maybe even imprisonment. And if we look at the natural result of this kind of thinking, of acting under the influence of anger, we just look at warfare. What is the result of warfare? Nations don't live happily as neighbors afterwards. It just leads to ever more suffering. So for us as individuals, the solution to being on the receiving end of anger is to have already cultivated excellent love and compassion, so that our response to whatever we encounter is genuine love and compassion. Then our mind is undisturbed. No matter how others are acting, our mind is undisturbed. And then we can respond in a way that is actually skillful and not in a way that just amplifies the situation, making it worse. So earlier I quoted the 4th verse from the 1st chapter of Shantideva, now the 8th verse from the 1st chapter. Those who long to overcome the abundant miseries of samsaric existence, those who long to dispel the unhappiness of sentient beings, and those who long to experience many multitudes of happiness and bliss, shall never give bodhicitta up. The first line, those who long to overcome the abundant miseries of samsaric existence. So these are all the sufferings that we have so much experience of, whether it's physical pain and illness or mental unhappiness. All of these will be overcome through the development of bodhicitta. This certainly is the case. To overcome all our own individual sufferings and problems, bodhicitta is the best solution. But not just for ourselves. To be able to help others overcome their suffering too, bodhicitta is the best solution. This then is the second line. Those who long to dispel the unhappiness of sentient beings. So therefore, both for oneself and others, bodhicitta is the best solution. The third line, those who long to experience many multitudes of happiness and bliss. So through cultivating love, compassion, and bodhicitta, one will come to gain complete freedom from suffering, in other words, liberation, and eventually attain Buddhahood as well. So in this way, throughout one's spiritual journey, coming to the eventual goal of Buddhahood, one will experience many multitudes of happiness and bliss. And the final line, shall never give bodhicitta up. So I'll read the verse again. Those who long to overcome the abundant miseries of samsaric existence, those who long to dispel the unhappiness of sentient beings, and those who long to experience many multitudes of happiness and bliss, shall never give bodhicitta up. So therefore, through cultivating love and compassion to whatever extent one does, will bring happiness to you. And as you're developing ever more stable love and compassion within it, in other words, as you are becoming an ever more loving and compassionate person, the expression of that will bring happiness to others. And as one develops it ever further, happiness will follow in lives to come as well. And one will continue not only to be happier oneself in lives to come, but continue to bring benefit to others. And eventually, one's good qualities will be developed to the extent that one abides in lasting, stable happiness, gaining freedom from all the sufferings of samsara. And eventually, one will attain Buddhahood. All of this comes from bodhicitta. So recognizing that, whatever extent one has good qualities, strive to develop these further and strive to have them as stable within. In this way, try to keep bodhicitta stable in one's heart at all times. We've heard here then about the great importance of bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment. So when one recognizes the great benefits that come from bodhicitta and gives rise to this wish to generate bodhicitta within oneself, then you'll be able to, with ease, restructure your focus, your time, where you put your attention, so that you can cultivate love and compassion and bodhicitta within. And as one does so repeatedly over a sustained period, it will become ever more settled in oneself. First, it just be in meditation. Later, you'll start to experience it in your interactions with others. And in this way, your more loving and compassionate heart will be ever more developed, and the good within will be shared with those who interact with you. And by doing this over a sustained period, then these good qualities become ever more settled within you, ever more part of who you are. And even in adverse circumstances, minds of love and compassion are what will naturally arise within you. In this way, you will experience tremendous benefit from these practices, as will those around you. If you think of those who aspire to become great sports people, this mere aspiration, whilst this aspiration is essential to become a great sports person, that alone will not lead to one becoming a world-renowned athlete or football player. Rather, having this great wish and then putting it into action, seeing that one has the capacity, one has the talent or the seeds within, one sets about training, striving to become a world-renowned athlete or sports person. Then, even in bad weather, one is out there training. Even when one doesn't have good conditions to train in, one makes the very best of what one has. Even when life has many demands, one will still find the time to train. This is how athletes become world-class. They have a deep burning desire to fulfill their potential. So this kind of approach is what is required for a Dharma practitioner too, to develop this deep burning wish to become outstanding in our world, to develop these remarkable qualities within. But for others who maybe recognize they've got talent and capacity, but they don't have this determined attitude, for them, there'll always be many reasons why they want to sleep in. There'll always be many reasons why they'll rather sit a bit longer on the couch. The weather's not so good today. Are the conditions in this environment or in this neighborhood to train aren't so good? Or I have so many responsibilities, just no time. So for them, despite having some natural talent and having some wish to become an outstanding athlete or sports person, there are too many reasons for them not to get involved. And they embrace those reasons. Those reasons overwhelm the slight wish they have to fulfill their potential. So what differentiates these two people is not the natural talent, but it's their strength of mind, their determined attitude. Taking the illustration of these two talented sports people, and the one striving to fulfill their potential, and the other not really being bothered. We take that to look at ourselves and to recognize that what is being presented here is a pathway to become the equivalent of an Olympian, a world-class athlete in terms of developing of inner qualities. And we, like a talented sports person, have all that innate natural talent. We have the seeds of love and compassion. For none of us, this is too difficult. What is required is to hear teachings and reflect in the way that one is guided, so as to come to recognize that we have this innate capacity, we have this natural talent. Moreover, we need to reflect on the benefits of cultivating love and compassion within us, the benefits that will come to ourselves and through ourselves to others as well, and the benefits that will come to ourselves and others in this life and in lives to come. Because through this process of reflection, we will develop the deep burning desire to fulfill our incredible potential. When you think then about what it would be like as we develop ever stronger love and compassion within, so this journey from now until we develop bodhicitta, we will have far fewer afflictions. We will be less afflicted. We will not be so easily upset. We'll very seldom get angry. We will have very little conflict with others. Our mind will generally be happy. We won't experience much unhappiness or disappointment and so forth. And we will be living with a sense of purpose. We will be living what we know is to be a life of great meaning. So thinking well like this, repeatedly over a sustained period, this will lead us to come to the point where we can slowly and then altogether turn away from what consumes our time, consumes our energy, and rather find and embrace those opportunities to cultivate the Dharma within ourselves, like you have done by coming here together now. And in this way, as we start to change our mind, we will see that in the past, where I was given opportunities to be of benefit, and I thought, I've got other things to do, and I said no. Now I embrace them with joy to interact with others and be of benefit in the lives of others. And also we'll come to see that when one faces challenges, whether from others or just in our own life or within ourselves, in the past, those may have overwhelmed us. We may have responded in an unskillful way. But now, because of these inequalities that are being developed, I'm not responding in a way that brings harm. And in this way, we recognize that we are becoming a skilled athlete. We are on our way to becoming a world-class athlete. And this is all entirely possible for all of us. To then summarize what we looked at both this morning and now this afternoon, is come to really transform the way we relate to others. And relating to others is both when you're relating to them directly, explicitly, but also even how we think about others. To develop an attitude whereby we value others, seeing them as important. Developing, and this comes through a sense of appreciation for them, recognizing our interdependent relationship. And this is the basis upon which we develop love and compassion for all equally. So the meditation is one that I've been presenting here and that you will be doing with Venerable Tsepo over these coming days. And it's one to take from here and continue at home every morning, where you start your day with recognizing that every single person that I will meet today and I've ever met up to this point is no different from me. We want to be happy. We don't want problems and difficulties. And we all have the same right to that. No one is more worthy of living a life freed of problems and difficulties. May all beings abide in lasting happiness. So the mind of love. May all beings be free of suffering and problems, the mind of compassion. You develop this further to the point where this mere wish feels insufficient. Whilst you generally, sincerely wish others to be happy and free of suffering, you want to make sure this happens. You recognize that others need help, they need assistance, they need guidance to develop the causes that lead to happiness and freedom from suffering. And you take this as your own individual responsibility. And thereafter, you commit to becoming a Buddha, because it's only as a Buddha that you can be skilled enough to guide all beings to gain freedom from suffering. And this is a generation of bodhicitta. So that's the meditation in brief. And then also I encourage you, in light of what we looked at in the second verse, to make the explicit commitment that throughout the day, I'll guard my mind against coming under the influence of a feeling of superiority, this mind of pride where we look down on others, criticizing them, dismissing them, not valuing them. Rather, today, whomever I meet, in whatever circumstance, I will guard my mind against pride, recognize that I can learn from everyone. And this will come about quite naturally, independence on that prior meditation, where you have developed a sense of closeness to others. When you have a sense of closeness to others, this helps to counteract the mind of pride, the sense of superiority. With this entire meditation, know that by doing this repeatedly over a sustained period, I will develop these incredible qualities within, because I am now following in the footsteps of great masters such as Nagarjuna, Chandakirti, and Shantideva, and so many others. This is how all the great masters have trained. And this is how I commit to live my life, to train my mind in this way. And then these two verses from Shantideva, particularly the first one, where he spoke about this precious human rebirth, wherein we have this incredible potential to develop bodhicitta and be of great benefit to all beings. By meditating in this way, we are acting in accordance with his life, we are taking the very essence from this precious human rebirth.
Yeah, that is just
Then thank you. We'll conclude there for this afternoon. Thank you.